National Security Council talked to Brett Baier, said during that interview that the president was not in the Situation Room. Why does that matter? I mean, if he was in the map room, if he was in the Rose Garden, why does it matter where the president was that night?
Well, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's a good question. You know, the president could be in the Oval Office. He could be upstairs in the family quarters and be fully briefed in what's going on. But it is curious that here we are a year and a half later, and when there was a big success, for instance, the takedown of Osama bin Laden, we got a TikTok and pictures and all kinds of background every step of the way where the president was that night. Now, this obviously was a tragedy and very much a black mark for this White House. And it is mysterious that a year and a half later, we really don't know. And I've asked on Fox News Sunday several administration officials where the president was that night. We know that he spoke to the Secretary of Defense around 4:30 that afternoon and was told about the attack, that he spoke to Hillary Clinton at 10 o'clock that night. But we don't know anything about what he was doing in between. It is, if anything, just curious.
We also know that 4 Americans died, the first ambassador killed on the job in 30 years. The president vowed to get to the bottom of it, bring the attackers to justice. Since then, nothing has been done, but Tommy Vietor and some of the other White House folks seem to say, oh, this is all old news now.
Well, it is something that other administrations have done. I remember Bill Clinton doing this with Lewinsky, and I think you're seeing it here again with the Obama administration, which is to deny things, to say that there's no news here, to deflect, some would say to stonewall, and then when new information comes out, as it does now, only as the result of a court case, a lawsuit and a court order by a watchdog agency here, Judicial Watch, then they say, well, wait a minute, this is old news. Well, it wouldn't have been old news if you'd told us when we first asked.
Chris Wallace, busy weekend ahead. Chris, thank you.
You bet.
Chris will have more on Benghazi on Fox News Sunday. He'll be talking with New Hampshire Republican Kelly Ayotte from the Senate Armed Services Committee. Also, California Democrat Adam Schiff from the House Intelligence Committee. This Sunday on your local Fox station, check the TV listings for the time in your area. Ukraine goes after pro-Russia fighters, and there are reports of casualties on both sides. Now President...
After the new Benghazi email, a new push to get the Obama administration to talk. Right now, House lawmakers are getting ready to form a special select committee to investigate the attack. But even with the select committee, getting to the bottom of the Benghazi affair will not come easy. Listen to what happened when our Brett Baier asked a fairly simple question to a former Obama administration official.
Did you also change attacks to demonstrations in the talking points?
Maybe. I don't really remember.
You don't remember?
Dude, this was like 2 years ago. We're still talking about the most mundane
it is the thing
process
that everybody is talking about.
We're talking about the process of editing talking points. That's what bureaucrats do all day long. Your producers edit scripts multiple times.
Brett is not backing down. And starting tonight at 9 Eastern, Brett is asking if a White House cover-up has been revealed. And Brett Baier is here now. Welcome, Brett.
Hey, Stuart.
Before we get into the substance of this, I got to tell you, I was watching, and I was very surprised to hear the use of the word dude from a former National Security Council spokesman. I think it took you a bit by surprise, and frankly, I thought it was inappropriate language.
Well, it surprised me, too. I responded with a dude back, so I duded his dude or something. I was surprised at his reaction. To be fair to Tommy, he came in, he answered the questions, and I appreciated that. And you know, I applaud him for doing that. In that exchange, we were talking about the talking points, and he was frustrated that there has been so much focus on adjusting the talking points. I'll just point out a couple of things. One is, the White House said repeatedly that the White House didn't change the CIA talking points. They said that they didn't change it at all. They only changed one word, according to Jay Carney, from consulate to diplomatic facility. Tommy Vietor is saying they changed more than that. So I think that was interesting. A couple of other interesting things in that interview. To be fair, again, Tommy did say that it was a tragedy and that his concern is that you know, it doesn't happen again. But he and the administration is kind of frustrated that this is being the focus of Republicans going forward with this committee.
Well, Brett, have you uncovered a deliberate attempt to deceive the country weeks before a presidential election?
This email that came out as a result of a judge's ruling on a FOIA request by by a group, a conservative-leaning group, Judicial Watch. This has advanced the ball. It stirred things up, and it takes it into the White House. How you get to the final thing that lays all of this out is really tough to see. And I think Speaker Boehner today, by saying there will likely be a special joint committee, a special committee rather, to investigate this, is going to be interesting. You know, the critics charge that Republicans have spent a lot of money already and time on this issue, but there are many questions that still remain. In this interview last night, we also heard and learned that the president was not in the Situation Room. Tommy Vitor was there, and the president was not. Does the president have to be in the Situation Room? No. But that was just something we learned now 2014 as opposed to 2012.
I don't believe we know exactly where the president was that night. We are told that he was in the White House, but other than that, we don't know, or who he was with. I believe that's accurate. Is it important that we do know?
Well, it just gives you context. We know he had a meeting with Defense Secretary Leon Panetta in the afternoon, and he was told about the attack. We know that the administration says that he was kept abreast of what was happening, and we also know that Secretary Clinton had a phone call with him at 10 p.m. In between that time, we don't know where the president is, and he's not in the Situation Room. You can handle things from other rooms in the White House, obviously, presidents can, but communications equipment and intelligence with breaking stories, as you saw with the Obama raid and that iconic picture of the president and his staff in there, that's usually where they go.
Does the new Select Investigative Committee from the House, does it have the powers required to advance the ball further and find out what we don't know yet?
It has the powers. I should point out that a number of these committees, there were 5 of them investigating Benghazi, had subpoena power. So it doesn't empower this committee with a lot more of that. What it does is it focuses the questioning, as opposed to getting 5 minutes for each congressman, where 4 of that could be a speech. You get someone professional who's asking pointed questions.
Brett Baer, thank you very much indeed, sir. What will these new revelations mean for Hillary Clinton? Larry Sabato is here later this hour. And did the government just find a new way to go after